Hello everybody, this is Old Man Tony here again. I've just been for my final appointment with my fingers and all is well. They've discharged me now. With the instructions, if anything goes bad I've got to get in touch with my GP and be referred back again, but all looked good. I've just been for my last hospital appointment on my bike, just to prove that everything's working okay. And the big advantage of going on your bike is that not only do you get through the traffic to get there fairly easily, but also parking for motorcycles is free at a hospital. Otherwise it would have cost me another £3 if I'd taken my car. So much for National Health Service being free at the point of use, except they fleece you for car parking charges. Well, that's another story. I'm very satisfied with the treatment I've got from the National Health Service. All the treatment was quick, efficient, and the follow-up appointments easy without huge delays. Thumbs up for the National Health Service. But just thinking about the advantage of bikes and all the stuff that's been in the news just lately in the UK about electric vehicles and petrol and diesel being banned from 2040. Well, actually the announcement was the sale of new diesel and petrol cars will be banned from 2040. So that means that petrol and diesel engines are going to be around for a lot longer after that. So I'm kind of thinking in terms of my lifetime that I'm not really going to be affected unless I can save a load of money with an electric vehicle. However, government have a habit of making these announcements, and often don't have the commitment to follow them through. I'll give you for an instance. I worked in biofuels before I retired and managed to get the first UK bioethanol plant built in Norfolk in the east of England. And we were producing ethanol, otherwise known as alcohol, which is to be used with blended with fuels. However, lobbies work in particular interesting ways. So what happened with liquid biofuels, which now seem to have fallen out of favour to some extent, is that the anti-biofuels lobby, or the pro-fossil fuels lobby, managed to get us tied up completely in knots by persuading the government that some biofuels were bad and not actually admitting that some biofuels are good. But generally, biofuels are good. Great fuels, particularly alcohol fuels. And if we were running petrol engines on alcohol, they'd be running a lot more efficiently and cooler as well. But somehow all that sort of thing got missed, and they started people worrying about food versus fuel and all that sort of thing, and coming up with all sorts of administrative schemes to prove that the biofuels were good, and eventually persuaded the government that they shouldn't be supporting liquid biofuels anymore. So although you could produce liquid biofuels close to the price of fossil fuels, depending on what the oil price is, often they're a bit more expensive and therefore nobody wants to use them. However, the government did cut the tax on biofuels for a while, but they like the tax take from fuels and driving and everything else that they can take, so they remove that advantage and cited the environment, which is a bit ironic because the alternative is to use fossil fuels. But oh hey, that's the way we are. And I think the same will probably happen with electric vehicles. You've got to think about how much tax the government get from selling, or oil companies selling their fuels, certainly in the UK but all the way around the world, and how much tax they charge on electricity. Now in the UK I think it's a 5% tax on electricity, and on fuels they cost maybe 30 pence a litre to produce, and they sell at about 120 pence in the fuel stations. So there's quite a bit of profit and tax take on that. Now if you took away all that tax, you've got to replace it with something else. And because charging of electric vehicles will either be done in the domestic situation, are they going to start charging people higher tax on electricity? I don't think so. That would be political suicide. So where are they going to get the tax from? Plus, a lot of the rich people of the world, they call themselves the ruling classes, the business people, the financiers, the speculators and all the rest. They make a tremendous amount of money out of fossil fuels. And they support lots of people in government. And they make money for various countries along the way, including the UK. It makes quite a lot of money from fossil fuels. And therefore, unless they are running out, which they're not, they might get lower on stocks, but I think recent events prove there's plenty of oil to be had, and it has to be controlled to keep the prices high, which is what OPEC and all the other oil producers try and do. So, my opinion is that having widespread electric vehicles is not going to happen very soon. 2040 might be an aspiration of the government, but it's only the start. And then we've got at least another 10 to 20 years of fossil fuels being readily available to buy to fuel all the second-hand vehicles on the road. So that brings us to 2060. In the meantime, technology is going to change quite a lot. And electricity might not be the solution. And then there's the other problem. Electricity generation causes emissions. There might not be emissions at the tailpipe of the vehicles, but they're emissions when it's being produced. And it could be quite efficient, but generally electricity generation is really poorly efficient. Some of the best fossil fuel power stations are only 40% efficient. And then you've got all the transmission losses on top of that. So we've got something that's in the region of 20 or 30% efficient electricity production. Now we could put up more wind turbines, we could have put up more solar panels. But we've got to do a lot of that. And then there's nuclear. Nuclear doesn't have any carbon emissions at the generation source, but there's quite a few carbon emissions on mining and refining uranium. Well, that's another story. So my opinion is electric vehicles might come slowly, but they're not going to be mainstream really for a long, long time. And I think I'll be probably long dead by the time they are. But saying that, I'm not against electric vehicles. If I could buy an electric vehicle at reasonable cost and operating costs were quite low, it'd be quite an attractive thing for me. But still, we've got the problem of how do we charge up these things quickly? How do we refuel them? We could go for battery exchanges, all that sort of thing. But we're a long way off there, so there's no infrastructure and nothing's going to change very quickly. So the government might be making grand announcements. I don't think anything's going to happen for a long time yet. So we'll be able to have our petrol engine motorcycles for quite a few more years yet. And they'll still be producing them. And we can use them. So maybe in another 10 or 20 years I might be singing a different tune. But I don't think we've got anything to worry about just yet. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate every viewer that we've got. And if you like what you see, please press that subscribe button. I always look at the subscribers just to see how many people think it's worth coming back to my channel. Views are one thing, but if someone presses subscribe, it means something else to me. And might mean nothing to somebody else, but it means something to me. So I really appreciate it. So thank you. And thank you for my 180 subscribers who've already done that. So, this has been Old Man Tony. Goodbye.